We've all inherited traits, some good, some bad, and some questionable. Money habits are no different. From saving every cent to living paycheck to paycheck, our parents' approach often becomes our default.
Welcome to Checks and Balances, The Takeover. I'm Michaela. This is Jess. And today we are joined by the lovely Amanda, Accounting Director.
Thanks for having me.
Yay.
Thanks so much for coming.
And today we are talking about, or should I say, breaking down money habits we learned from our parents.
So what we learn from our parents can really filter through in all sorts of our, parts of our lives, but money is one of those ones that affects everything. And I think, we can look across our office and there's people from all sorts of different backgrounds. Even between the three of us, we all had pretty different upbringings, right? So today we're kind of getting into what did we learn from our parents? What have we taken into our lives when it comes to our own money habits? I think we're going to start off by covering saving styles. So what do we think about that? Does everybody have an opinion on what they took from their parents in terms of their saving style?
I'm going to totally destroy my parents in this episode.
Oh my
God.
God.
I'm not.
Did they listen?
No, but I don't really think I was taught much at all about money aside from how to earn it. So, and we were talking about this previously, that in itself is basically a lesson about money, the fact that there was nothing. So I really didn't grow up thinking about saving really at all unless I was saving to purchase something.
An item.
Yeah, so there was no saving for your school or saving for future stuff.
In the moment.
Yeah, in the moment. I've always been a massive spender, and I think that's a bit reflective of how I grew up.
I don't think I got given specific savings lessons per se, or necessarily talked about what you do with money the best way until I was slightly older. Mm. But I always kind of liked being able to put money aside. I did have a piggy bank growing up, and I remember thinking it was fun putting coins into it. And I didn't want to have to take it out if I was going to buy a treat. But then every so often it was oh, I can use the piggy bank, And that's a really young memory. But it wasn't specifically you have to save whatever money you get, but I kind of wanted to. If there was a 20-cent coin, I was
that was the fun.
So didn't go on smashing the piggy bank.
Yeah, I totally forgot
they had things that you could open them up.
Not that dramatic.
Yeah, or if you shook it the right way, you could get it out the top.
Yeah,
I actually completely forgot about piggy banks, but we definitely had them. And even something as simple as that concept is already teaching your kids about saving, right? And like you said, they think it's really fun. You also told me a really cool tip the other day.
Is this the car one?
Yeah, I think that your dad told you. Yeah. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so when I first started driving and, paying for petrol and stuff, I was working, my dad said to me, it's not very fun when you have a car maintenance cost, and the best way to kind of plan for that is to have a separate bank account set up. So every time you put money into the car, you put petrol in the car, you pay for it, you put the same amount into a savings account for car repairs.
That feels gnarly.
Because
it is. You put $60 in, it costs $120. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, when he first told me it, I was like, I don't really want to do that. But I also was I don't really like the idea of going to the garage to begin with. That just seems scary, and I don't know how to do cars myself. And so I was like, fine, let's listen to something Dad said. And I did set up a car account, a long time ago now. I still do it. It works.
And you said you're always pretty much whenever you've gone in and got a car bill, it's never that far off.
It's never too far off.
Yeah. I'm going to implement this. I love it.
Yeah. And honestly, I look at the car expenses account, and sometimes, the balance will be sitting pretty high. I haven't had to do anything on my car in a year, and it's sitting there ready for its waff to go. And I'm like, ooh, there is money there, but it's just for the car. I don't look at it. It's not real money to me. It's just if something happens with the car, it's there.
See, I feel like that's so good, because then there's me when I had my first massive car bill as 18 or something. I went out and got a credit card and put the whole thing on there.
Oh. Well, this nicely leads into the next part that we're going to talk about. How do we all feel about debt? Michaela?
I don't know. Well, speaking to that, the fact that I went out and got a credit card and paid for a repair bill at 18, I think because I was never explained really how debt works, I don't think my parents had debt, so they just never thought to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's not something you learn in school,
Unfortunately.
Yeah. We've talked about before. So I've always been way too comfortable with having debt since that first credit card. I've just been if I can't afford it right now,
So like,
chuck
were
it on
you
a
paying
card.
interest on the credit card?
Yep.
For
I
the
didn't pay it off
ouch.
for years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm the
This is
absolute
really
opposite.
depressing.
Are you? So what do you feel about credit cards then?
I like credit cards, and I
Okay.
use a credit card. I use a credit card for anything that's not going to charge me additionally for using the credit card. So like I won't use it unless I have no other money on me. I wouldn't use it if there was like a paywave charge or if there's like a extra processing fee. But anything that's not going to charge in that way, I'll always use my credit card. But I kind of got taught, this was actually from my mum, who's not so into finances at all.
Okay.
But she got taught by her parents, which I thought was interesting. So this is like 2 generations going down of only put it on the credit card if you have the cash to pay for it.
Totally.
Or you're
Yep.
comfortable that the cash will
Yeah.
be back before you have to pay it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like credit
Got
cards,
that
but
from
I
mum.
think they have a time and place. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah. I don't think my family definitely used credit cards, but it was much like that kind of, they used it as the day-to-day spend account and then collected their points and then
Yeah,
paid them off,
totally.
which obviously as Lighthouse, we don't necessarily always advocate for that. we like to cut up the credit cards if our clients are sort of struggling with the clarity and the balance of spending and things like that. Quite often the points don't outweigh the risk and all that sort of thing. But yeah, it's interesting that we've both had that background. And I guess now moving on to our values when it comes to spending that we got from our parents. So, you know, did your parents go quality? Were they bargain hunters? How did this play out in your household?
In my household.
Yeah.
Actually, both my parents were always of the mind that like quality over, you know, the cost. And I feel like my best example of this is I remember when I was like 16 or something and I had a bunch of birthday money from my grandma, something like that. My mom takes me shopping. My mom is an extremely thrifty, frugal person most of the time. And we went to this mall. We went to this fancy shop. It's called Aritzia. If you've been to North America, you know, you know. And there was this like cashmere cardigan. And I swear it was in the hundreds. And I was 16. I had enough money. And she was like, you know what? It's going to last you so long. Like, it's probably worth it. So I bought this cardigan and I wore it till I was like in my mid-20s.
Oh my gosh.
So it really was. And it was great quality.
The cost per wear, yeah.
Yes,
there you
but
go.
that was a big
Interesting.
lesson they taught me was just, stuff that lasts.
Yeah, true. What about you?
I kind of a mixture, to be honest. I think there was like, some pieces, some things, and it's easy to think about clothing of like, what's the investment pieces versus like, you know, your plain t-shirts, you're probably going to spill stuff on it or you're going to, you know, wear it on some outing that's not going to, you know, keep its wear. And so in which case you might go cheaper for that. But it was really a mixture depending on what the item was, I think is probably the approach I had. Like, when I think about back when I was a child of like, whether you buy more expensive stuff for school or not, probably not. But then like, as I was getting older and kind of getting my own thoughts on what I wanted to buy, mum and dad would kind of be like, do you really want that? Like, you know,
Gentle guidance.
you know, like when I was first able to get a cell phone and stuff, and I was like, this is the really cool hot pink one that all my friends have.
Yeah.
And
I think I remember. I think I had that hot
Yeah.
pink phone,
Yeah.
the flip one.
and they were like, there's also this other pink one that's like not that, and you don't have to use, you know, this much money on it. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's probably smarter because actually, you know, a year later you wanted a new one or you wanted something different or
Yeah.
it stopped working in certain ways and stuff.
It's really nice when, like, and I guess if you're a parent listening to this, hearing that kind of interaction, especially when it comes to technology and kids and stuff now, there's a way to like gently guide in the right direction without saying no, yes or no. Because equally, had you gone and made the other choice, you would have learned from that too. So it's a gentle guidance, maybe not necessarily a telling people what to do, but yeah, that's really cool. I think in my family, there was less of a focus on stuff. Like we didn't really buy that much stuff, but my parents always really emphasized to me experiences. And so that I feel like is definitely carried through with me. So we did a lot of travel as a family. Like, I didn't have all the cool stuff like clothes or tech or anything like that growing up, but I definitely had some incredible overseas trips and things that I know other kids didn't have. They also paid for private school, but like my mum's whole job was paying for the private school. So it's not as if that was
so that was
really
the way that your parents like did their spending was so that your mum's
was experiences.
was-
Like it wasn't easy for us to pay for private school. Let's put it that way. Like that was a really big chunk of their overall budget. So that's definitely carried through to me now is that I do really emphasize experiences over things. So
that's an interesting one because I think growing up, my parents probably emphasized the experiences we had as family. And like for when I think about like Christmas presents and stuff, like my dad would always do a present for us that was like a family present, and like so sometimes it was say like a family toy or like a family thing to do, like a rugby game that would be booked in. But I think as like when I was growing up, I quite liked things, and so when I was kind of getting to the age where I could choose all my own clothes, I was like, well, I want to get a paper round because I want to buy some denim shorts that mum and dad are never gonna buy.
Not emphasizing, because funny.
They're like, you don't need those shorts, you're like 13.
Yeah, we're going to do stuff together. I think like the point of all this is that, we've actually found a study that says that children form basic money habits by age 7. So the things like this is really good examples of the things that you're doing as parents are filtering through to your kids from such a young age, and so many things are already formed from that young age. So I think that we found really interesting. All of the things that we've just been talking about, there's got to be some psychology behind this. Like what is actually driving all of these behaviors, whether it's around the fear of debt or spending. We've done a little bit of research into the psychology side of this.
So there's this thing called money scripts. Interesting name. I don't know where that came from. But they're unconscious beliefs about money that are formed in childhood. So this came from a study that was done in 2009. And I'm not going to try and pronounce the name of the person that did it.
Quants. I'll give it a go.
Essentially, there's a few of these. So we have money avoidance as the first one, money worship, money status, and money vigilance. Money worship sounds a little bit culty to me. I'm not going to
They almost sound like attachment styles, but for money.
Yeah. Do you think any of us are money worshippers? I don't know. Do you reckon? Maybe you reckon you are?
Maybe. I don't know. Spending worshiper. No, you're right, though. They do sound like attachment styles. But I guess if you think about it,
it probably comes fundamentally somewhere similar.
Money. So one of these, for example, people with money avoidance, they're more likely to have a lower self-worth and avoid financial planning because of anxiety around their money, basically. So I think, we're talking about we learned a lot of these things from our parents, and some of these things we actually probably want to unlearn because they might not be serving us well.
Yeah, and we do see that with our clients. When it comes to the financial planning process, they are bringing these attitudes into their lives, and that has an impact actually not just on their feeling about money, but their actual net worth. Like that's what the study is saying, is that the money avoidance scripts, you're likely to have a lower net worth. So your psychology makes its way into your actual real dollars and cents in the bank.
We also we have these habits from parents that grew up at a different time to us, right? So the ability for us to have a better understanding of our money and how we're spending our money is so different to what it was 30 odd years ago. They previously were using checkbooks and stuff to balance out where money was going. Whereas, you can log into your online banking, see what you spent this morning. And if you need to log it, understand how you're spending your money, where it's going.
Pocketsmith, of course. We have to bring up Pocketsmith.
Well, there's just so many more resources now as well, like they didn't have back then. So you can actually see everything going in and out. And there's tools to help you, which is awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
A couple of things here I thought was interesting. So this is similar to people with money avoidance. People that feel guilty spending money on themselves, even when it is in the budget. I've always found that kind of person interesting. I have no issue spending money on
Honestly, we have a lot of clients like that.
Really?
Yeah. And we'll run financial plans and they can see the money, we visualize it all for you as part of a financial plan. So it's very obvious where you're tracking and how it's going, and they still struggle to feel as if they can enjoy it and spend it. And really, my job as a financial advisor, the way I see it, is that I'm helping people to find the balance between enjoying life now, preparing for the future. It's always that balance. And I think, in my opinion, that if you get to 100 and you've got millions and millions in the bank, it's representative of a life not lived. So I would rather help you allocate that while you're alive. Yeah. Whether it's giving it away, it can be giving it on to next generations and all that stuff too. But yeah, it's a really interesting psychological phenomenon to come across.
Okay, so we've talked about the psychology behind these and the habits that are not so great, but we really want to get into how to break those habits. So we will get into that after the break.
The way you grew up with money shapes how you handle it now. At Lighthouse Wealth, we help you rewrite that story. Get in touch via the show notes below. Now back to the episode.
So how do we break these bad habits that we've learned from our parents?
Well, first things first, we found this other study. So behavioral economists, what a job that is. behavioral economist.
There must be a
I
psychologist that likes economics.
Is that us?
That likes economy.
Likes economy.
Us with our psychology degrees?
Yeah.
Behavioral economist Wendy Della Rosa found people are more likely to follow through with their financial goals when they link them to identity. So I am the type of person who saves. I actually try to trick myself when it comes to my fitness goals. I'm the type of person that goes to the gym every day.
Does it work?
No. But I don't know. It must do to some degree. Like, it's got to, right? And I think, it's the self-talk aspect of like, you tell
positive
yourself.
affirmations to yourself about money.
Do you do that in the mirror every morning?
I do not. I do actually. I have been using a habit tracker this year, and one of them is to, at the end of each month, just like review where I am financially, and to see. And it's actually been quite cool to see how things change over a month, even if I feel like I've been really bad with spending for the month, to still be like, it's not all bad. You're doing okay.
Yeah.
You're putting money away.
You do have to find like the positive parts when you're doing that. Or like we did that episode with Tracy, Debt Free Diva, and she talked so much about how you have to find like the good parts to the budgeting and the saving.
Yeah.
Or it's just like,
so you don't fall off a cliff.
Yeah, exactly.
Much like fitness goals, right? You have a bad week and it's so easy just to be like, oh, it's not worth it. I'm never going back.
Screw it.
It's like, just get back on the horse. How are you tracking stuff? Is it PocketSmith or don't tell me it's a spreadsheet.
Of course it's a spreadsheet.
A spreadsheet is better than a piece of paper.
Okay, yeah, we have seen that with some clients, pieces of paper, budgets.
I mean, it's a spreadsheet. I didn't build it. I found it online, and it's actually been quite cool. But
nice.
It's not
She's an accountant, everybody. Don't try the spreadsheets at home.
No DIY spreadsheets. But tools are super important to, finding ways to break those habits. So, education, tools like spreadsheets, budgeting, making sure that you're aware of what your habits are so that you can break them if they're not serving you well.
It's like with anything, awareness, bringing awareness to it naturally does change the behavior over time, I think.
There's also something in here called financial therapy, which I have not heard of before. However, when I read financial therapy, I can only think of Caleb Hammer.
I don't know this. Is he the Instagram guy you were talking about the other day?
No, I think he has a YouTube channel, but I see his videos on TikTok, and people come to him and he basically gives them financial advice, financial planning. However, he does it in a really mean way. But the people that come to him, they really do have some of the worst habits that you've seen money-wise. Like, most of them have gotten themselves into heinous amounts of debt just from like unbridled spending on things that are not useful at all. And like, they really truly need therapy, I think, to like get out of that hole.
Deep. Yeah. Well, it's deep stuff.
It's like the dopamine hit of spending money, right? If it makes you feel good after you do it, you're like, oh, I should go get something else.
Yeah.
There's another great lady. There's probably quite a few links we could pop in the show notes to help you in the right direction of this education. I mean, obviously, our podcast is a great place to start. But, there's lots of people out there. There's another lady who she just comes up on my newsfeed every now and then, and she just keeps on being like, that dress isn't going to make you feel better. Like, she's like, just your daily reminder that thing's not going to make you feel any better.
Put it in your shopping cart. Wait a week. See if you still want or need it.
Yeah, that's right. And because like out in the world now, we're bombarded with buy this, buy that. Your life is going to be better if you have the thing. And it's like, actually, I've put in my algorithm reminders that that's not the case.
This does also make me think that, like you say, we're bombarded with so much stuff. If you think about that compared to when our parents were our age, there's so much more to consider. I also think, like, yes, we have more. Yeah, like we have more tools and things to help us with our financial goals, but there's also so many more things coming at you, and pressures and cost of living and
the social pressure,
we just have so much to deal with.
Yeah, your awareness of everything that's out there that you could spend all your money on is way higher.
True.
And you're like, you go on social media and you're seeing everyone going on holidays and buying new cars and houses and whatever, that it's a little bit overwhelming.
Not aware of the debt that they're potentially in
the
as
debt
well,
that carries behind it.
Which makes you think as well. So for the next generation of kids, for the kids that we're all raising, not us three yet, but that we're all raising, like, what are they going to be exposed to? And if we're not setting them up well, with good financial habits now, what kind of impacts it going to have on them in the long term?
Yeah. So once you've identified some of these habits that might be crap, they're not working out for
Less
you.
than ideal.
Yeah. There are tools and tips like you can use to get out of that. So I think Amanda's car savings tip is
Your dad.
great. Yeah.
That
Go
was so
Amanda's
great.
dad.
What's your
but-
dad's name?
Neil.
Thanks, Neil.
Go Neil. But things like that, like, it doesn't have to specifically be the car thing, but I'm going to start doing that. But just finding little tricks that work for yourselves to get in that savings mentality. Actually, studies show that automatic savings, so like an automatic transfer each month or week or whatever works for you, can boost your savings by up to 80%, which is
Crikey.
massive. So not having to think, I guess I'll transfer $100 this week, maybe.
What's left
Man,
over,
yeah,
I'll
what's
put it
left.
in.
Yeah,
It doesn't
which
work like
is
that.
Do it
doesn't
first.
work like that. And then obviously tools, like we always talk about Pocketsmith. Maybe it's Amanda's magic spreadsheet, but finding tools to help yourself build better habits is excellent.
Cool. I think we'll wrap up there for today. Thanks so much for listening to the episode sponsored by Lighthouse Financial. Don't forget to like, review, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.